Can do, especially for closure, and also just moving on and just letting it be. And let me tell you why I say that. Never ignore the role you played in every bad moment of your life. It's honestly not about blame. It's honestly about awakening. The thing is that when you take accountability, you take back your power. And one thing that comes with taking back your power is your understanding that growth begins the moment you stop pointing fingers and start asking yourself, what was I meant to?
And children, growing up doesn't mean blaming your parents forever. This is about healing. And siblings, you are not exempt either. Loyalty is not an excuse for toxicity and dismissive behavior. Oh, and family members. Blood makes us related, but effort makes us family. Accountability doesn't mean cutting people off. We holding y'all to the standards that you already should be living up to. Because real love checks your ass when you in the wrong. But we also help you get right. Stop enabling dysfunction just because we call each other's family.
And that's what we talked about the last time. What people do, especially when it comes to social media, is that they look for somebody to sympathize for their pain so they can validate their pain.
Absolutely.
And so it's really hard for you to point the finger at yourself, because if you can point at everybody else, and you can get everybody else to point the finger as well, and now you feel like you have a team of validation behind you.
Taking responsibility is something deeper than saying you are sorry, but it's when you actually acknowledge your wrongdoing, when you actually, say, I'm gonna mend myself, I'm gonna take care of that, I'm gonna question myself, my actions, and saying that, I played a big part in how you feel, and I personally acknowledge it, I consciously acknowledge it, and over the years, it's getting slippery. It's a thing where a lot of us struggle with that part, that you have to comprehend, you have to say, I am at fault. And a lot of people, we struggle with that. So the next videos are gonna be around that, around taking accountability for your wrongdoing, around the ability of saying, I did wrong, that's all on me. Because a lot of people at the end of the day, we don't want to come off as the wrong ones. So the next videos are gonna just highlight that. It's me, Tohi Banger, with another reaction. When it comes to accountability.
I will not go down that way. I choose to fight fast. I choose to rise, not fall. I choose to live, not die. And I know that what's within me.
There are people that are uncomfortable with the idea that they've done someone wrong, and so their defense mechanism is to make themselves the victim, grip at straws to try and make sure that they were never in the wrong, or try to convince themselves that they never said anything that could adversely affect someone, because it would then become an internal thing of, wait, maybe I have a part to play in someone's hurt, and they don't like that.
Hard or uncomfortable conversations are only successful when you have them with people who have emotional intelligence, in the sense that, like, a lot of people communicate that, a lot of people say that communication is key, but I think comprehension is something that's even more important, because if someone is trying to speak to you about the way in which you did them wrong, and it's something that you don't entirely understand, and you view yourself as a victim in the situation because you're so, overwhelmed with fault, then it's pointless to continue speaking to you, because you're just going to get into like a defense of your intentions, or a defense in general.
We live in a world where everyone always tries to be innocent whenever they tell a story, pointing fingers and putting the blame on other people and forgetting the role you played in certain situations. I feel like more people do not want to take accountability whenever they share a story. And this morning, I just want to remind you, bestie, sometimes that's the best thing you can do, especially for closure, and also just moving on and just letting it be. And let me tell you why I say that. Never ignore the role you played in every bad moment of your life. It's honestly not about blame. It's honestly about awakening. The thing is that when you take accountability, you take back your power. And one thing that comes with taking back your power is your understanding that growth begins the moment you stop pointing fingers and start asking yourself, what was I meant to learn here? there's so much that comes with asking yourself those questions when you reflect and you start looking at certain situations you've been in, whether you do it on a Friday, whether you do it on a Sunday before you get into a brand new week. But those reflections are major key.
Those are facts. Those two videos highlighted one thing, that it's one thing to say you are wrong. It's one thing to say I'm sorry, but comprehending then saying it's all my fault and I have to work on myself instead of painting yourself as a victim. Because whether in a relationship, whether at work, whether in your social life, in your daily social life or family, the moment you start treating people or people start acting some type of way around you and you say people have a problem with you, then you are projecting, you are not really looking at the whole situation. See, sometimes, people might treat you some type of way because it's the energy you give off, it's the energy you projecting, it's not even or your behavior, so the moment you say, I have to work on myself, it's a bigger step, it's a growing step, it's a step of which you are taking to grow yourself. Now you are becoming more aware of yourself. Accountability goes beyond just saying you are wrong, just saying, it's the situation, because then you're just blaming it on external factors. But when you go internally, then that's when you start taking real accountability and saying, okay, maybe it's how I speak to people, maybe it's how I act or how I make people feel. So taking accountability is very deep, and it's a very sensitive step of growing that a lot of us need to go through, because it allows you to relieve yourself from stresses like saying that people hate you and whatnot.
Accountability is not about cutting people off. It's about holding them to a standard that they already should be living up to. Mothers, you don't get an emotional pass and then use the term, I did my best. And fathers, silence and distance is not a parenting style. Spouses, love is not control when your partner is walking around on eggshells. And children, growing up doesn't mean blaming your parents forever. This is about healing. And siblings, you are not exempt either. Loyalty is not an excuse for toxicity and dismissive behavior. Oh, and family members. Blood makes us related, but effort makes us family. Accountability doesn't mean cutting people off. We holding y'all to the standards that you already should be living up to. Because real love checks your ass when you in the wrong. But we also help you get right. Stop enabling dysfunction just because we call each other's family. Call it out, call it in, call it what you want to call it, but the cycle ends today. Like and share this video, because I'm finding out there's a lot of people, including myself, that don't want to take accountability when we're in the wrong.
But at what point do you step up and say, damn, this situation keep happening? It showed up in work. It showed up in my friendships. It showed up in my relationships. At what point do you hold yourself accountable and say, maybe there is a few things I need to work on within myself?
Whenever you step out of the victim mentality, that's when you can hold yourself accountable.
And I think because of social media, we just be deep diving in the victim mentality, finding the memes that fit our situation, posting, and making it make sense, knowing you on some.
Because what people do, and that's what we talked about the last time, what people do, especially when it comes to social media, is that they look for somebody to sympathize for their pain so they can validate their pain.
Absolutely.
And so it's really hard for you to point the finger at yourself, because if you can point at everybody else, and you can get everybody else to point the finger as well, and now you feel like you have a team of validation behind you rather than just calling yourself out.
Which is true. Which is so true. Like, a lot of us, we look for external validation, something to validate how we feel, instead of saying, whoa, maybe I'm the problem, whoa, maybe I need to work on something. We go elsewhere to look for that validation so that we can say, oh, everyone around me is wrong, now I'm right. And even within families, this behavior is very highlighted in this video, whereby family members, because we are related, it's easy for them to say, no, I'm not gonna apologize, even though they did you wrong. They just let it slide because, no, we are family. And it's just a shitty way of going through life, with people just walking all over you, no matter family, no matter what. And when you call them out, they just be dismissive. So accountability, is when you actually say, no more victim mentality. If I do something wrong to someone and I make them feel some type of way, I acknowledge it and I'm gonna right it, or I'm gonna show that I was wrong to this person, that I take full accountability of how I made you feel. Instead of saying, no, this person da 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 da, this person da 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 da, and now you're just brushing it off, you're just dismissing the whole situation. So even in families, work life, or relationships, this thing appears. So I believe that, taking accountability is one of the steps we take as humans as we grow. It allows us to grow. I mean, that's what I think. That's what I think. This is a very serious topic that it's usually not touched on or really assessed or studied. And a lot of people need to step out of that victim, I'm the victim in this, because the moment you do that is when you start growing.
You're a woman. You try to hold her accountable, all of a sudden you hate women. You try to tell her that she moving foul, now you judging her. No, girl, you just hate accountability. Unhealed woman will think that everything is an attack. You try to tell them, hey, that was kind of toxic. And you know what they're saying? They'll be like, see, that's why I don't tell nobody nothing. But the reality is, you just don't like to be told about yourself. Healed woman can say, yeah, you're right, I messed up. An unhealed woman, she gonna twist it, she gonna gaslight. The problem is, too many women think that being healed means that can't nobody check you. When in reality, if you can't take correction, then you're not healed.
While we're on the topic of intentionally misconstruing men, let me be real for a moment. There was a time when accountability and I weren't friends at all. We didn't see eye to eye. Now I'm objective. And I definitely hold myself accountable, but it wasn't always like that. A big part of why is because of how society conditions women. Society gives us passes constantly. And I'm not saying that we don't have our challenges, because obviously we do. But when it comes to accountability, the default setting is always in the woman's favor. And if you disagree, I don't know which society you live in. Think about it objectively. Think of the stories you've heard, the comments you've read, right? If something goes wrong, the assumption is he must have done something, and the woman reacted. The expectation is that we're in the right. And that kind of automatic siding with women makes accountability an uphill battle. Because to truly hold ourselves accountable, we have to constantly push through all those layers of protection, of cushion the world wraps around us. And I'll be honest, like many women, there were times when I was manipulative. There were times when I knew exactly what the man was trying to say, and I knew he was right. But instead of sitting with that and being reflective, you know what I would do? I would find anything to misunderstand. Because my logic was, if I could shift the focus, if I could make him uncomfortable, if I could make him stumble in his argument, then the original point he was right about no longer mattered. So you see, it was never really about the truth. It was about preserving my role as the victim. It takes a strong woman to break free from the comfort of always being right. It takes a very strong woman to say, I was wrong. Because we women are very prideful. And the opposite of pride is shame. And we don't want to feel shameful. A woman can go her entire life without ever holding herself accountable, and the world will still validate her. But strength, growth, self-reflection, being mature enough to be in a relationship, that requires something deeper. That requires choosing accountability even when no one is demanding it from you. Not even your man. Because in his head, you can never be accountable. But prove him wrong. If you so like to prove your man wrong, prove him wrong in that regard. Show him that you can be accountable.
Accountability.
And this is why I feel like a lot of relationships are failing. Yes, men can be wrong. Men take time too. But majority of the time you find that even if a woman is wrong, she has to be in the right. And these women are calling it out. It's not me saying it. You hear women are calling other women out. Because a lot of women are manipulative. Not all of them, but a lot of women are manipulative. They are always the victim. They are always being wronged. And they wonder why they can't be in a long-term or fruitful or healthy relationship. Guys just come in and walk out. Because as a man, you are expected to apologize if you do something wrong. Take accountability. Yes, you'll do all that. And the moment she does wrong, she just brings up everything that you did that was wrong. It's like, you did this, and that, and I forgave you. You this. But remember, we are not even on those things. We are here now. Yes, I did those things, and I'm still here with you, and we are working through it out. And we're working our way to building and healing from that. So when a female brings it up, it's like she's saying, no matter what I do or what I put you through, I'm always the victim. Hence why a lot of relationships, I feel like they are failing these days. And it's a problem because men are always being called out, But a lot of women are more manipulative than men, especially if a female has a good guy, has a good guy in her life. She takes advantage of that. Hence why these women are calling other women out. So it's not even me speaking, it's other women calling other women out. We listen to them online, a lot of men don't even say much. We just keep quiet. If we fucked up, we do apologize. But lately, men are just walking away. And we are called nonchalant, we are called narcissistic, we are called all that. But we just walk away because at the end of the day, if someone does you wrong and you say, yo, you did me wrong, and there's not going to be any accountability. There's just going to be, the fingers are just going to be pointed at you. It's like you started this whole thing. You started this whole toxic cycle. It's sad. That is true. Yes.
Ability will heal a lot of relationships. In most cases, it doesn't matter why you did what you did. What matters the most is that you're willing to acknowledge the pain that was caused by your actions, accept responsibility for your actions, and then take accountability by making the necessary changes so that it won't happen again. That's it, and that's all.
So I actually wanted to agree with both points that have been said earlier on. And one of the things I wanted to say, having been married and now not married, men actually do talk, but women, we don't listen. Because I'm looking back at the conversations that I would have with my ex-husband where he would express himself. And vividly, I can remember saying, yes, I hear you, but... And then I want to bring my point because I feel I need to be heard. Everything else that he's saying, unless my point is at the top, then whatever he's saying is invalid. Unless he acknowledges me first. And this is where I say as women we are very selfish. Because outside of, once I got separated, like my sister, I got to talk to a lot of males just to understand where I got it.
Don't ever feel bad for.
So she had to be out of marriage in order for her to realize this. A marriage, as I'm saying, a lot of men are just walking out, they're walking away peacefully so, and saying, you know what, how fair? How fair? Because at the end of the day, no matter how much I act right, I take accountability, you are never wrong. If I say that this treated me or made me feel some type of way, some women just, their fingers end up pointing at you as a guy. You know. So these, and I love how most of these videos, when we talk about accountability, there are women calling out women. You know, as much as, yes, men do wrong. Yes, some, like, men, a lot of men, you know, don't want to take accountability for their actions. But there are good guys out there who'd wanna, you know, who'd ride the waves with you, no matter what happens. But the female, So I love how a lot of women are just calling women out for this toxic mentality, because it's affecting a lot of relationships these days. Marriages are ending, families are falling apart.
Holding someone to account for their behavior. People need to learn what accountability means. Accountability means knowing what the problem was, apologizing for your actions, realizing what the impact of what you said and did was on the other person, and then taking the steps to rectify that behavior and be responsible for your actions going forward. The people who do not want to be accountable often display a huge sense of emotional immaturity. When you are emotionally mature, you realize the impact that your words and actions have on other people. So you are in every right allowed to hold someone accountable for their actions. If they cannot and react defensively or do not want to show some sort of awareness for the behavior that they have displayed, then that is your moment to take a bow and distance yourself from that person and from that situation. But nothing is wrong for you standing up for yourself and holding someone accountable. People can't get surprised when they do something terrible towards you.
So to end this video real quick, this goes out to both men and women, you know. In order for us to have a functional society, you know, on both sides we have to have the ability to say, I messed up. I truly messed up. That was effed up of me. Messed up very. Then the society will just function smoothly, because whenever there's a problem, no one sits with baggage on their chest. We are able to talk things out. I'm able to call you as your man. You are able to call me as a female. I'm able to call you out as a family member. You are able to call me out as my family member too. So accountability goes even beyond anything. It goes into your social life, it goes into your work life, it goes into your, you know, family. Like, it affects a lot of aspects of our daily lives. So taking it for granted is something else, because there's gonna be a lot of people who move like with a burden on their chest, with something on their chest, because they're not really heard. And even when listened to, they end up also being the cause of the chaos. This is a very serious topic. It's a very insightful topic. Leave a comment below, you know, of what you think. Until the next video, I am Chloe Bang.